Indie fashion and music are all about self-expression, creativity, and breaking away from mainstream trends. Indie fashion embraces individuality with a mix of vintage, thrifted, and handmade clothing. It often avoids big-name brands in favor of unique, artistic, and DIY styles. The look can range from earthy, muted tones to bold, eclectic patterns. Layering is common, along with statement accessories like hats, scarves, and jewelry. Many who follow indie fashion also prioritize sustainability, choosing ethical brands or upcycling old pieces to create something new. Indie music refers to artists who operate outside of major record labels, focusing on artistic integrity rather than commercial success. The sound can be raw and authentic, often featuring DIY production and unconventional instrumentation. Fashion and music in the indie world are deeply connected, with many musicians influencing style and vice versa. Artists like Phoebe Bridgers, Arctic Monkeys, and Mac DeMarco not only define indie music but also embody the indie aesthetic through their personal style. Indie culture, at its core, is about embracing what feels genuine rather than following trends set by the mainstream. Indie sleaze is a fashion and cultural movement that emerged in the mid-2000s and peaked between 2006 and 2012. It was defined by a mix of grunge, punk, and electroclash aesthetics, characterized by a carefree, rebellious, and often messy look. Rooted in the indie music scene, the style was heavily influenced by the rise of MySpace, Tumblr, and the nightlife culture of underground clubs and indie rock concerts. The fashion of indie sleaze was a reaction against the polished, preppy looks of the early 2000s, embracing a deliberately disheveled and hedonistic vibe. Think American Apparel ads, smudged eyeliner, ripped tights, unwashed hair, oversized flannel shirts, metallic leggings, band tees, leather jackets, and a general "I just partied all night" aesthetic. It was DIY, effortlessly cool, and often unpolished. Accessories like thick-framed glasses, beanies, studded belts, and messy side-swept hair were common. Vintage shopping and thrift store finds played a huge role, as did a mix of high and low fashion, where people paired designer boots with torn-up thrifted shirts. The movement was closely tied to indie rock and electro music, with bands and artists like MGMT, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Crystal Castles, The Kills, The Strokes, and early Lana Del Rey defining the soundtrack of this era. The party scene was fueled by music blogs, Polaroid snapshots, and the rise of digital cameras capturing blurry, flashlit party moments. By the early 2010s, the rise of Instagram, minimalism, and the clean girl aesthetic led to the decline of indie sleaze, as social media shifted towards curated, polished lifestyles, reflecting nostalgia for a time before social media perfection took over. Indie music and fashion have had a big cultural effect, influencing popular culture without sacrificing their uniqueness. As more people embrace handmade, upcycled, and thrifted clothing, indie fashion has sparked sustainable movements. Independent musicians have revolutionized the music business by demonstrating that a large label is not necessary for success. The raw, introspective, and alternative qualities that characterize indie music have been embraced by many mainstream musicians as a result of the genre's rise. In addition to fashion and music, the indie movement encourages people to support small businesses, value artistry over mass production, and create as part of an authentic culture. Its influence can be observed in everything from digital content production to social movements, demonstrating how autonomy and uniqueness still influence how individuals express themselves. Indie fashion and music go beyond just aesthetics and sound. They represent a mindset of creativity, individuality, and independence. Whether through unique personal style or raw, authentic music, the indie scene continues to shape and inspire culture in its own way. It's not about following trends, but about embracing what feels true to you. Whether you're drawn to the music, the fashion, or the DIY spirit, indie is ultimately about self-expression and forging your own path.